So I just got a new light in the mail, and I'm pretty excited about this one, just because it seems like things are getting smaller and smaller, and that works great for me because I obviously try to maximize space. And if you guys are familiar with my content, I try to maximize space as much as possible. So anytime I can find a piece of gear that does a very similar job, but it's a smaller footprint, I'm excited about it. So, actually, Zhiyun sent me over this light, um, and it is pretty sweet. They sent me over this light for review. I'm not being paid, for this review, so I'm going to give you guys my honest opinion. They did say I can keep the light, so that's kind of, I guess that would be my payment for this, is being able to keep the light. But I'm going to tell you guys if it's good or if it's bad, or what, what I like about it, what I don't like about it. But so far, just my initial impressions is it's super compact. And this is not an actual case for this light. I just jimmy rigged a case that would fit all the items and accessories. But yeah, this case did not come with the light. I'm just repurposing an old case that I had. The actual light did not come with the case, so I'm just trying to get everything organized with the reflector. But yeah, it's so small. They give you a nice long cable, which is good. And then this is the actual ballast. So again, a nice long cable on the ballast. And then the ballast is small, super tiny. Does have a fan, which is nice, but it's just the footprint is so small. I can literally put this in this direction if I wanted to, and still have more room in this case for something else. And, if you're like me, sometimes you don't use the dish, so you could definitely lose the dish if you use modifiers or whatnot. So yeah, you could even shrink this package down even more if you wanted to. But this was just a case that I had laying around, so I thought I would repurpose it for this light. But still, the fact that you can get a 500 watt light, bicolor light, into a small case with all the accessories and the dish is amazing. Usually my other lights have way bigger ballast. Like this would be the size almost of the ballast. On the bigger lights like the 1200D, it's like just as big as that. The 600D series is probably half this size. But yeah, that's just the ballast. And then you have to have the head, the cables, the dish, if you can fit it in there. And it becomes a bigger piece of equipment. Whereas this is very small. Honestly, I could probably fit the whole light thing system with the ballast in one of these padded tool cases that I use for cameras. If I know I'm not going to need the hard case, if I'm not going on a flight, if I'm staying, I just need it in my van, I could switch this out for one of those tool cases and shrink this footprint even more. But yeah, I'm super excited about the possibilities with this light. I'm going to use it on an interview that I have coming up a little bit later, so I'll take you guys along with me.
Things. And, I would say I grew up middle class, and so we were in a position to help. So if you'd ask me, I would say I was very generous as much as I could be. But coming to Blue has really
So here is my makeshift studio. I have a 10-foot seamless. I'm just out here in my shop. It's a little messy right here on the side, but I got enough space to work in like a little bit of a Dana Dolly move, like a push in, and then a little separation on the background. But I have family coming in, and my cousin plays music, so we're wanting to do a little music video for her, record a couple of songs. I thought it would be a good chance to test out this new light. I've used it now a few times on a couple different shoots, but it is a Zhiyun MOLUS G300. This is a bicolor fixture, and in the shop I have it at 4%, 5600. I don't need a whole lot of light here. I'll have my garage door closed and the door closed there. So I don't need a ton of light. So it's at 4%, and I just have it hooked up to a little battery. It's not really drawing that much power, so this thing will stay powered for a few hours at 4%. Obviously, if I was running it at 100, I'd probably need like a generator or wall power. Unfortunately, I don't have any electricity out here in my shop. I'm working on getting that up. But yeah, this was just a quick little music video. Nothing fancy. I'll have a few other lights here at play. Just a backlight, and then I'm gonna have a projector mount that's just kind of putting a little texture on the gray seamless there. But yeah, very simple setup out here in my shop. I'll record audio into a Zoom F6, and then that will be it. And then I'll have my FX3 here, and then maybe do a little bit of a push in just to kind of start the video, and then that will be kind of it. Then we'll just live there. But yeah, it's just a little quick music video out here in my shop. I would usually do it inside my house because there's a little bit more space out in there, but I have like 20 people, but I'll have like 20 people over at the house, so it'll be too loud to actually do any filming. So yeah, I'll have to make this space work. But yeah, I'll keep you guys posted. This light is really good. There's a couple things that I hope they will fix, maybe with a version 2.0. They're not a deal breaker. I just don't know longevity. The only thing I don't like is this built-in cable here. It is a nice long cable. I don't know how long, maybe 10 feet or so. Like, it's a long cable, but it doesn't detach from here. It's built in here, and then it attaches locking pin into the actual head fixture itself. So I don't know over time, you know, usually if I damage this cable or whatever, I can just buy a new one. But with this, I think you have to buy a whole new ballast setup. I'm not quite sure. Right now, because it is at 4%, the fans are super quiet. Like, you can't barely hear that. So that wouldn't be an issue with any sort of sound recording. There is another fan on there. The only time I've noticed the fans getting pretty loud is when you go into like a burst mode. So this is a 300 watt light, but you can max it out to actually reach 500 watts. They call it overclocking. So you can actually get up to 500 watts out of this fixture here. But I have noticed the fans are pretty loud at 500 watts. So it could be an issue for some people. For me, it wouldn't be that much of an issue. I use a lot of denoiser with audio recording anyway, so I could clean it up pretty easy, but for some people it could be an issue. But yeah, I just thought I would let you know if you have to overclock it. It is a little noisy, but nothing too bad. So this isn't going to be like a direct comparison between the two. I'm mostly just showing you the size difference. So for me, I work out of a small van, and everything has its place. And if there's ever a piece of equipment that is more compact and does a very similar job, that always kind of intrigues me. So this is the 600D, and it, you know, it has the ballast, the head, the cables, the dish, and that does take up a lot of room. Like, this is not a small setup, especially when you're thinking about where am I going to put it on a vehicle. And then this is the new unit, the Zhiyun unit, the MOLUS G300, and it's a lot more compact, and I could probably easily fit 4 of these on this van, taking up very minimal room. So obviously this is a 600 watt light. This is a 300 watt light, but you can boost it to 500. You just press these 2 buttons down at the same time, and it will overclock it to 500. Now, I haven't ran this light for more than 2 hours at 500. I don't know, overheating wise, what would happen if you're shooting outside and you have it at 500 and it's overcranked, and you know, it might overheat. I don't know. I haven't been able to run that long of a test. I've had it on for maybe an hour and a half at 500 watts, and it was fine. You know, it wasn't super hot. The fans were on, so obviously I've had this light, you know, at 600 watts all day at 100% on some shoots, and it's never overheated. I'm not saying this one would overheat. It might not. I just know sometimes when you overclock things, you do run the risk of overheating. But that being said, I've had it on a couple hour shoot at 100% overclocked, and it's been fine. But yeah, it is something to consider, the size difference between the two. If you're trying to save space on, you know, a van. Obviously, if you have a much bigger setup, you can not have to worry about space. But for me, I'm always worrying about space, and I could easily fit 2 of these in the same amount of space that I could just fit 1 of these in. But I'm still going to keep the 600Ds and the 600Xs and all my Aputure stuff, because these are more industry standard, and it's easier to rent. Whenever someone asks about a gaffer position, they always ask, what kind of lighting do you have? And it's an easier sell if I have, you know, industry standard stuff like Aputure 600X, 600Ds, and 1200Ds and all that. They're just more familiar with this lighting setup. But for my personal stuff, I mean, most of my clients don't care what kind of lights I have. They don't even know what a 600X is. So I could easily put 2 or 3 of these in a bag, and this just be my lighting setup for my one-man band kind of stuff, where it's just me as a sole operator. So yeah, I do like these units. I'm thinking about picking up another one, especially for traveling. I could easily put this in a Pelican case, 2 or 3 of these in a Pelican case, and that be my whole lighting setup. And then all I have to do is worry about modifiers and stands and that sort of thing. But trying to fit 2 of these in a Pelican case, it just doesn't make any sense. It's going to be overweight, and it's just not as travel friendly as something like this. But yeah, thanks so much for watching the videos. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. And thanks to Zhiyun for sending me this light. I appreciate it. I'll have links in the description below if you guys are interested in checking it out. and I'll see you in the next one.